The following recording was recovered from the basement of a demolished sanatorium. The date is unclear. Most people think that sleep is a biological necessity, a time for the brain to rest. But in certain circles, sleep is viewed as a barrier, a filter that prevents us from seeing what's actually standing in the corners of our rooms. In the winter of 1974, 3 men volunteered for an experiment. They were told they would be paid to simply stay awake for 30 days. They didn't know that by the 10th day, they would be begging for the sweet mercy of a bullet. The first 5 days were normal, jokes, card games, endless coffee. But on day 6, the atmosphere shifted. The volunteers stopped talking to each other. They began to whisper to the microphones. Each one believed the other 2 were imposters. They would stand for hours, inches away from the glass, staring at the researchers with unblinking eyes. Their pupils had dilated so much that their eyes looked like bottomless, black holes. They weren't tired anymore. They were expectant. Day 12. The microphones picked up a new sound, a low, wet, rhythmic thumping. One of the men, Arthur, had started to peel the skin off his fingertips. Slowly, methodically. When the doctor asked why, he didn't scream. He didn't even flinch. He just leaned into the speaker and whispered, "I can feel the air. It's too thick. I need to reach. The nerves. I need to hear the vibrations of the things crawling behind the light." Day 15, the most terrifying event occurred. The youngest volunteer, a boy named Elias, started to scream. But there was no sound. He stood in the center of the room, mouth wide open, his chest heaving, for 2 hours. He was screaming with such force that the blood vessels in his eyes burst, turning his gaze entirely red. The researchers realized he wasn't screaming because of pain. He was mimicking something he saw in the corner, something that was screaming at him. On day 20, the lights in the chamber failed for 3 minutes. There was absolute darkness. When the emergency power kicked in, the room was different. The volunteers were no longer sitting. They had used their own blood to paint symbols on the walls, not occult symbols. They looked like anatomical diagrams, maps of the human nervous system, but there were extra parts, pathways that shouldn't exist. Arthur was found, huddled in a corner, sewing his eyelids open with a needle he had fashioned from a sharpened toothbrush. The experiment was ordered to be shut down, but when the gas was pumped in to sedate them, it had no effect. They had stopped breathing voluntarily. Their lungs were no longer moving, yet they were still standing. When the extraction team finally broke the seal, the volunteers didn't try to escape. They fought to stay inside. They screamed that the outside world was too loud, too bright, and that the silence wasn't finished with them yet. During the struggle, one of the guards was dragged into the darkness of the cell. Before they could pull him out, the volunteers had opened him, not with tools, with their bare hands. They were looking for something specific. One of them was holding the guard's heart and whispering to it as if it were a telephone. He was smiling, a wide, jagged smile. He looked at the camera and said, "We found the frequency. It was always there, inside the pulse. The facility was burnt to the ground. No official records exist, but sometimes, in the quiet hours of the night, people report hearing a sound, not a voice, but a rhythmic, wet thumping. like fingers, peeling back layers of reality. If you find yourself unable to sleep, if you feel like the air in your room is getting thicker, do not fight it. Do not look in the corners, because the moment you see them, they know you are ready to join the experiment. The recording ends here. There are no survivors, only echoes. Close your eyes. Try to breathe. But remember, if you feel a gaze on the back of your neck, do not turn around. Some things are better left unseen. Subscribe and stay awake. It's safer that way. Good night, if you still believe in sleep.